pieces of their influences in those promos. It is no secret that two of my biggest influences in wrestling in general are the Macho Man Randy Savage and Ric Flair. And I think that there's a lot of Ric Flair in all of my promos, past promos and present promos. And to try and make things different than before, one way to tackle that is to seem a little bit more confident, because it's my second time to the dance, so to speak, and I know what it takes to be the world champion, which is why I've got it for the second time. When you strip away wrestling, I wouldn't say that I'm confident, because I'm still terrified every time I go out there. The butterflies are there because I want to perform at a level that the fans at Ring of Honor expect. I want everyone to leave happy. I would never even consider myself to be above anybody in our locker room. The word vet has been tossed around. I would never even consider myself to be that. But when the camera's on and the lights are rolling, I have this boosted level of confidence. So I'd definitely say it's more so a persona thing than a real life thing, especially since at the drop of a hat, Will Osprey could be a way better champion than Jay Lethal, in my opinion.
All right, thanks, Jason. Carlos from Fightful.com. Go ahead, Carlos.
Thank you for having me, and thanks, Jay, for taking time from your schedule to talk to us. It's been a couple of years since you last wrestled for the ROH title at Death Before Dishonor in 2016, and since then, the company has grown immeasurably. I mean, you guys are having the big show at MSG next year. From that time in 2016 to now, what's been the biggest difference, or how has the company has grown in these short 2 years to where it is now?
The biggest difference, although I love to pat Ring of Honor on the back because I love the company, the biggest difference we can't take too much credit for, although we aid in it. Wrestling as a whole is on the rise. There is definitely a boom period in all of professional wrestling, and that's definitely helping Ring of Honor. It's helping every wrestling company out there. It's been the biggest difference thus far. But another aspect, another side of the coin is Ring of Honor's always had the greatest roster out there currently. Even though we lose some puzzle pieces here and there, we always pick ourselves up and go in search of finding new talent. Someone mentioned Mark Haskins, a phenomenal guy, phenomenal talent. But yeah, the biggest piece of the puzzle is Ring of Honor's ability to always have the greatest roster out there. That on top of the fact that wrestling as a whole is in a boom period. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I would agree that there is a boom period in wrestling right now.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
All right, thank you very much. Chris Featherstone, Pancake Power Slam, et al. Go ahead, Chris.
Awesome, thanks so much, Mark. Jay, great to have you on the call today. Appreciate it. So you are, if I get my numbers right, you are 135 days from being the longest reigning Ring of Honor champion of all time. Does that sound about right?
Chris, you're really putting the pressure on me now.
No pressure.
Oh
no. All right, man. Well, congratulations in advance if that happens. My question to you, you mentioned two of people who you idolized growing up, Randy Savage, Ric Flair. The thing about them is that they were very character, really, which really defined 80s and early 90s wrestling. And an area where gray area is really kind of reared its head as far as just faces or heels. You mentioned you were a bad guy before and a good guy now. How important is that still in the world of professional wrestling, distinguishing characters and having a good guy and a bad guy?
Well, since wrestling has been evolving for years, I think it's definitely at a state where now more than ever those lines are extremely blurred. And each individual wrestler, every time they step into the ring, what they're really showing the crowd, other than a good time, is their view of professional wrestling, what they think wrestling should be. And it's really cool because some fans really like that, and then some fans shy away. So that pulls certain fans in your direction because they agree with the way you think wrestling should be, or they agree with your views, and your views together make an awesome match and they love it. Or you got some fans who don't and they shy away and they like other people. That's the coolest part about wrestling to me. But in my opinion, like you said, Macho Man and Ric Flair, what really drove me to them was the characters. But it wasn't until I saw past that that I fell in love with the in-ring ability of both guys, more so Ric Flair than Macho Man Randy Savage. I definitely think, and that's because of the era that I grew up watching, I definitely believe that in wrestling you just overall have a better time when in the ring there is someone to cheer and someone to boo. Not to give away too much of the wrestling business, but to answer your question, I think to me, it's important to have a good guy and a bad guy. But now, more than ever, like I said, those lines are blurred more than they've ever been before, and they're very hard to see, which is why we can have a good guy versus a good guy and a bad guy versus a bad guy. And I tell you what, nowadays the crowd is trying to dictate, and they do a great job of telling you who they think the good guy is, who they think the bad guy is. So wrestling is becoming much harder, but sorry to answer your question, I'm not trying to ramble on, but to answer your question, I think, for me personally, I love a good bad guy, and I want to cheer for this good guy, and they go into the ring and they do their thing. That's how I feel wrestling should be.